Hey fellas, how y'all doing today? Welcome back to this new episode of the Power Punch Club podcast, and I am your host, Dr. Varun Gandhi. So this podcast is for students, more specifically students in Asia and Africa who are applying to the top universities in America and Canada, England, Germany, Netherlands, Australia, all over the world. If you guys are applying to these top universities, then this podcast is for you. This podcast will cover topics related to your application. So we'll talk about your resume, your statement of purpose, your letter of recommendations. We'll break it down into how these three also affect the outcome of your admissions. We'll talk about job profiles of the hot careers and industries and related to profiles of different universities and the degrees that they offer. We'll also interview fellow students, the same students who are currently attending the universities that you want to apply to. So today, we're going to talk about GRE scores, and specifically low GRE scores. So if you have a GRE score, for example, of around 290 and an AWA score of 3.5, the question here I get a lot is this score enough to apply to master's degrees pretty much anywhere in the world? But let's talk about in the US specifically. Man, I'm going to repeat this again. You guys place way too much of an emphasis on your GRE score. I already talked about how you guys spend so much time studying, 6 months to a year, which is way too long. So let's go back to this question. So this question is about low GRE scores. We're talking about the other end of the spectrum. The question is, say for example, you have a 290 on the GRE or even lower, or anywhere below 300, I'd say. And you have a 3.5 or lower in your AWA. 4 is good. 3.5 and lower. 4 and lower is not good. So should you still apply to master's programs in the US? Let's say you have decent grades from a good university in India, and now you have these GRE scores, decent job experience, decent work experience. Maybe not, you don't have job experience, you're going directly from undergraduate to master's, but you have project experience. So actually there are two questions here. Should I still apply to master's programs in the US, and are there any universities that would accept me as a student? So let's tackle the second question first. Are there any universities? Yes. There always are universities that want to take you. Why? Because they want your money. But guess what kind of universities they are? They're tier 3, tier 4 universities, something that you find in like a local community college. That's what they are. They're kind of like that level. They're a 4-year program. They're not a 2-year program, but the level it's just very local. That city itself will recognize that program. So I'm out of SoCal, and there are lots of universities here. You'll just drive on the highway and you'll see signs showing different universities, like, right, it'll show like Chapman University, and there's some really, really, really local universities, right? There'll be some like northeastern, southern California dental school or something, you know? So those are the universities you don't want to apply to. They're too state level. They're even lower than state level sometimes. Like even a state level university is still decent because it's recognized in the state system. California State University in Long Beach, right? It's still recognized in the state system. So at least within California, you'll have decent chances. But now we're talking about something that's even lower than that, even local, more local. So it's just like not even a county, not even a county. It's a city, small population, and it's a university for them, for the locals who live there and who are probably going to die there too. So you don't want to apply there. Why? There are those universities that will take you, but you don't want to apply there. And this is the reason. No one's going to tell you this. University admissions counselors in India, they're not going to tell you this. They want to make their money because you trust them. They're going to send you into a university without any promises. They're not saying that, oh, once you graduate from this university, you're guaranteed a job. No, they're not saying that. So they don't know much about the job situation in the first place. So now I'm going to run through a scenario. If you do apply, if you have that GRE score and AWA score. And if you do end up applying, this is what the situation you would face here. Okay? So at this point you say, yes, I'm going to apply. Let's see what happens. And now you'll go and search for universities. You'll find a lot of information, maybe on Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups, regarding this so-called safe universities, and again, safe in quotations, that you can apply to. Universities that will, this just like what I said, the local universities that will take anyone. Just because you're paying them money, they're going to take you. You can secure a loan, they'll take you. That's all they need. They just need that guarantee of a loan, that in the future you're going to pay them, or at least you're liable to pay them. So now guess what? You'll go out and take a loan, $30,000 over 2 years, maybe. That's on the lower end. It could be higher, maybe $50,000 your international, $40,000, $60,000, I don't know, a large amount. So then you'll get your visa and you'll be on your way here to the US and to the university. And on the first day of campus, you'll start attending all the classes, and you'll feel like you're doing something. You're here in America. You're cherishing this moment. You're loving all of this. Like you finally made it to this land of the free. You finally made it into US. This is what you've dreamed of for so long. Now you're here, and you're so ecstatic. You're so much in joy. And then you start attending these classes, and then you realize, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into after 3 weeks? I took these classes in undergraduate in India or in Africa, and here they're taking it in grad school? So you'll ask yourself, what am I doing here? What are you doing there? These are classes that you've already taken, so it could fall under 3 categories. You feel like you don't have a challenge, and you could just steamroll through these classes. You could actually teach these classes because you've taken them maybe back home, and you don't feel comfortable on campus. You don't feel comfortable in that in the city you live in. Maybe the campus of the university might be okay, but the city you live in, you might not be comfortable in it. Those are signs that you'll see that this is not where I'm supposed to be, and you'll start asking the question, what am I doing here? Well, now you don't have any options. You could try transferring, but again, you have low GRE scores, so you'll have to study for the GREs again. You may not get into anywhere. So now what do? So now you decide to stick it out for 2 years. You're like, hey, I'm going to tough it out, get through. Maybe I'll get it done in a year and a half. I'll save some money. And usually what happens is the 3 months before graduation, maybe 6 months before graduation, you start searching for jobs. Once you go out there, you'll update your resume, graduate of such and such on this expected graduation date, and you put your resume out there, you start talking to people. Well, you haven't worked on your communication skills, so talking is going to be a little difficult. Communication might be a little hard. You can't get your point across. You may not be, you're charming, but they see the degree, they see the university that you're going to, and it's the local school here, so they're not too keen on it because they usually hire from California State University, or maybe even UC Berkeley's, the University of California system. But they don't go below the state level system. So now you're searching for a job for 6 months. You graduate without a job, which in your situation is common, but if you go to a decent university, it's uncommon. You usually at least have multiple offers by the time you graduate, or you actually have a job in hand on the day of your graduation. That's what happens a lot of the cases. It doesn't happen in your case. No company visits you in the middle of Arkansas. And local jobs don't really exist either, so you're stuck, you're trapped. Now what do? You start working at gas stations. Well, you have to, right? Because you're down $40,000, and you don't have a job that you expected to have by the time you graduate so you can pay off your loans. So what do? Do you just pack up, go back home, work it out at home, and try to pay off? Or do you retake the GREs now? So next year you can apply to a much better university. You'll have a year of work experience, and you'll have a much better GRE score. So now you can at least apply to the state systems in different states, like Portland State, Washington State, New York State, Georgia State, Oklahoma State, California State, Arizona State system. So now start applying to state systems at least. That's the mid-level universities. Those are the at least the solid ones in that area. So you'll live in that city for the next 10 years. So yes, there are universities, but they're not worth it. Until you can get into a state system, it's not worth it. At least the state system. Thank you, fellas, for listening to this episode. We really, really enjoy speaking with everyone, and we really enjoy your comments. So keep them coming. Keep asking your questions. They're amazing. Again, you can find us on our website, powerpunchclub.com. This podcast is also available for download on powerpunchclub.com/podcast. You'll soon find us on iTunes. We're also really active on Quora, so definitely check out our channel, Power Punch Club, and on our Facebook page, Power Punch Club as well. Make sure you find us at all these places. Keep in touch. Communicate with us. We're here for you. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear your concerns. So definitely hit us up. All right, guys. It was great talking to y'all, and you'll hear from me soon again.